So yesterday, West Ham played a behind closed doors friendly with Dagenham and Redbridge. It's not even really a full game. It was 60 minutes long, half an hour per half. I think it was purely just to get some fitness levels up, give younger players opportunity to play more senior level, that kind of stuff. But also, it was, of course, John Egan's sort of trial match to sort of prove his fitness. We understand he only played a half. Now, I sort of touched on the Egan thing. I'm not sold on it. I'm really not. I'm not annoyed or anything that much about it. I'm kind of whatever. If he signs for West Ham, right, which I suspect he will, I'm guessing, obviously depending on how things went, but we understand he played okay. He'll be offered a season long deal. I've got no real big problem with it, all right? I don't think it's, the worst thing in the world. I kind of understand it in a sense because if you're Jhon Lopetegui, he wants that cover. He wants that senior cover there. I kind of get it. I just don't know whether it's needed. I'm not convinced we really need it. And I'm not just saying Caelan Casey here. I'm not just saying that he's obviously the fourth choice. I think he should be, in my opinion. I think you've got to give these young lads a go. And I do think, at the end of the day, that's how you progress. That's how you learn. I mean, the argument is if he's not ready, then put him out on loan. Do you know what I mean? If he needs to be playing and playing with senior players, then why not just send him out on loan? But the club have decided not to do that. So it's kind of like a halfway house, isn't it? No, we don't want you going on loan. We want you to be with the senior team, but we don't want you playing for the senior team. So it's a bit like, what's the point? That's my view on it anyway. But look, the club have to back Lopetegui. We have this summer. So kind of just want to go with, I suppose, what he wants. If that's what he's saying that he needs, then that's what he needs. But I'm just not sold on it. That's all. I'm not really that excited. However, if John Egan does sign a contract at West Ham, I'll be fully behind him. I think you want to back your players, and I hope he does well. Don't forget, we had this with Craig Dawson. I know there's a few people who brought that comparison up, and I think you do need to remember we did have a very similar feeling when we signed Dawson. We went, what's the point? Why do we need this player for? And then all of a sudden, the rest is history. Oh, Ballon Dawson. Oh, I miss him. I really do. Miss him being in a West Ham shirt. But anyway, digressing here. I want to talk about Danny Ings, actually. Danny Ings scored a hat-trick in that game against Dagenham and Redbridge. I personally don't think it's going to have any bearing at all on him featuring for Lopetegui. I don't think there's going to be any... I don't think... What I'm trying to say is I don't think he's going to score that hat-trick and go, oh, I think I'll start him against Fulham. That's not going to happen, all right? I don't think there's anything. So over the summer, West Ham, I think, have made it pretty clear they wanted to get rid of Danny Ings. We tried to offload him, didn't we? Southampton put in a bid, as we know. I think they're the only club we know sort of firm put in an offer, and he rejected the move. He didn't want to go to Southampton, right? And we were told that he wants to stay and fight for his place at West Ham. Now, it's kind of obvious, to everybody, including Danny Ings, surely, that he's not part of the plans. Because West Ham tried to offload him. If someone's trying to offload you, you know what I mean? If your boss is trying to get rid of you, right, it's not a good sign, is it? In terms of your longevity at the company, whatever. And I'm sure that Danny Ings was the same. However, Danny Ings, look, I'm really not having a go at Danny Ings. I want to make this really clear. Danny Ings, right, has been offered a contract by West Ham and he signed it, and he's got every right to say, well, I want to see his contract out. He's doing absolutely nothing wrong. I've got absolutely, right, no problem with Danny Ings, right? I think fair play, right? If he doesn't want to go, he's happy with his role. No, I'm happy with this. Happy to be a fourth choice striker. I'm happy to be earning me 100 odd grand a week. Good luck to you. I've got no problem with that, because I'll tell you what, if I was in his shoes, probably be doing the same. Probably something similar. Going, well, why bother? If he's at this stage of his career. I mean, obviously, I would rather him move on. And I'm going to get to that point. There is a reason I'm sort of going down this path, right? Despite West Ham having such a positive transfer window, and I really want to put a disclaimer here, we have had a really positive transfer window. This isn't me moaning at the football club about the transfer business this summer. I think we've done really well on paper, but we've done really well, haven't we? Let's be honest. I think out of all the Premier League sides, we're up there, aren't we? If we're not top, we're second or third. Do you know what I mean? In terms of how performance in the market, West Ham have done very, very well, and I think most clubs would agree with that. I mean, I don't know, if you speak to other football fans, I mean, my mates and stuff like that, they always say, bloody hell, you've done really well. They're impressed, really impressed with where West Ham are conducting their business. So I'm not having a go at them for that, right? But let's be frank, I said I was going to talk about this. The striker situation's not ideal still. It's quite obvious, right, that we obviously we wanted Jhon Duran. He was the number one target, right? Now, I've always kind of had this feeling, it's been sort of lingering a little bit, that we've cut our nose off to spite our face with that we walked away from the deal. I think we tabled 37 million, 37.5 million. You know, that's roughly what I believe West Ham tabled to get Duran. Whereas Aston Villa was saying, no, it's £40 million. That's it. There was talk, though, that Villa would have been open to doing an obligation loan with an obligation to buy next summer. So West Ham could have deflected that £40 million purchase to the following season and spread the costs. You know what I'm getting at? The deal was there. West Ham, I don't actually believe, right? Now I've had time to think about it, and when you're reading more and more into this, and I'm talking about here because of the wages we've been talking about. You know, West Ham's concern was not the fee. Because, like I say, you can spread the costs over a certain amount of years. All right? Like we've done with Todibo. We've got him on this loan with an obligation to buy, which is going to be triggered this season. We will then next season start to pay those instalments. Well, not to pay those, pay those instalments, but you know what I mean. We haven't got to put those figures into our accounts to next year. So I think that's what they would have done with Duran anyway. I don't believe West Ham were actually going to purchase the player outright straight away. I think they would have preferred the loan with an obligation. I think that was always our desire. So I actually don't really believe that you know, like the club have been getting a lot of criticism, even from myself, to suggest that why didn't you just bloody pay the extra £3 million? If you paid the extra £3 million, we've had Duran, it'd all been done, we'd have had this player. Because let's be honest, looking at Jhon Duran and how he's performing for Aston Villa, we have missed out. This was a massive mistake. He is a quality striker. And we have cocked up big time. But I actually don't think that was the problem. I think the wages were the issue. West Ham's concern in regards to PSR, or financial fair play, whatever you want to call it, was wages. We had real concerns with wages. Ex-WH employers said this numerous times over the summer, that West Ham's issue was wages. We needed to get players out of the club. They needed Zuma gone because he was a high earner. They needed to get a Gerd out, although I don't think a Gerd actually was that high earner. Max Cornet, high earner. They needed these players out, not because they wanted fees for them, but to get their wages off the books. They've not even left the club, have they? Most of these players, all right. Most of them are still West Ham players. They're just on loan because we can't get bloody rid of them. But it was to make sure that we had the wages available. So here's my thinking. Had West Ham have offloaded Danny Ings to Southampton, if we play the scenario, I think we'd have got Jhon Duran. I'm firmly of the belief that this deal with Danny Ings that we have put in place, and again, I'm not even going to Danny Ings for it, it's West Ham I'm going to go for it, and particularly the hierarchy for getting this deal over the line when we did it. I think it was 2023. With Danny Ings, is really disrupting completing a really good transfer window. Had we have offloaded Danny Ings, I am 99% certain we would have got Jhon Duran. I think we'd have gone back in, we'd have said yes to £40 million. Yes, we'll pay him the 120 grand a week, whatever it had taken to get him to West Ham. And I think we'd have been a West Ham player this season. Similar to the Todibo deal. I think we'd have done the whole, it'll trigger into an obligation once he's played 5 games or whatever it might be. All right. I am sure of that. I am really sure that's the case. Which really is frustrating when you consider this is all self-inflicted. This is, when we go back to the Danny Ings situation, we brought him in. West Ham management at the time, David Moyes, didn't even sanction the deal. It was brought on by the football club because they just wanted to give him a striker. It was one of those stupid deals at West Ham. Look, there's a reason why Aston Villa bit our hand off. We took on a player that was, immobile, really, isn't he? He struggles to get about the pitch. He's aged, doesn't he, Danny Ings? He's not the player he once was. We can clearly see that. And he struggled to fit in at West Ham. Again, not having a go at him, but it's costing us. And I think it's actually cost us Jhon Duran. I think it's cost us from having the perfect transfer window because it's quite evident at the moment. And I'm really not, don't want to say that I'm giving up with this, but I haven't. But the form of Mikel Antonio has not been good at the start of the season. He is coming towards the end of his career. It's quite obvious. I'm not saying he hasn't got any role at West Ham and he's got nothing to prove, but he's not our number one striker. But by far, he's not now. Do you know what I mean? He's too inconsistent. You can't, you cannot keep playing bang average and then keep expecting to be first choice, which is what he seems to always suggest, isn't it? Like, oh, I want to be first choice striker. Or I want to be seen as the number one man at West Ham. He keeps going on about. Don't get me wrong, I love Antonio. He's been a great player for West Ham, but he's not someone now that we rely on as our number one striker. And I'm not sold on Fulkrog at the moment. I'm just not. I'm not suggesting that he's a bad signing. I'm not suggesting that he won't come good. I'm sure. I'd like to think he will. I totally appreciate he's moved country. He's getting used to life at West Ham. He's getting used to the Premier League. So he needs time. And look, in 6 months' time, I could be saying, bloody hell, we've bagged 15 goals for us already. Do you know what I mean? I could, and I bloody hope that is the case. And this isn't going to be something we've got to rue for the rest of the season. But I fear it is. I fear that we've missed out on Duran now. I think he's already becoming too important for Aston Villa. I think it's obvious. He's already scored a couple of goals from this season, one against us, of course. And watching him play, I'm just constantly thinking to myself, what if? And we can't get rid of Danny Ings. We just cannot. His contract ends this season, so he'll be going next summer anyway, regardless, unless we can ship him in January. I know that the club have explored trying to terminate the contract or something like that. That's how much West Ham want to get his wages off the books. They're even talking about just getting rid of his contract. Obviously, it was going to be too costly, but just to get him off the book just so we can get Duran. I'm sure had Ings left this summer, which West Ham wanted him to do, West Ham would have gone and got the Duran done deal done. Do you know what I mean? And that is how frustrating is that? How can you not be so frustrated when you can see how good Duran is? And you wonder, I mean, if I'm frustrated, you're frustrated, I'm guessing. Can you imagine how frustrated the team are behind the scenes? Imagine how frustrated Lopetegui must feel. Just think, oh. Because I was watching the Man City game, and especially the second half when I felt that we were really good. I thought we played. Don't get me wrong. I'm not complaining about West Ham. I'm not suggesting that we are a load of crap. I think I've got high hopes this season. I think we're going to be all right. I think we're going to be pretty in a good shape this season. I really do. I think once things click, I think we're going to be great. But it's obvious we're missing a striker. It's so obvious. Antonio, as I say, is not up to the job. He's too inconsistent. Fulkrug, I'm not convinced. I struggle to see at the moment how he's fitting into all of this at the moment. I'm just struggling a little bit. And the whole time I'm watching us play, I'm just thinking, oh, I wish we had Duran. I think he would have been such a good signing for West Ham. I think he would have fitted our system absolutely perfectly. And I'm just, despite everything being great, and I must sound like such an ungrateful fan. Do you know what I mean? After, we just, Carlos Soler's just signed, was it 9 players you brought in now in total? Possibly 10 with Egan. All right. I mean, as I say, I don't think I'm happy with that one. But, Todibo, Wan-Bissaka. I mean, it's been Rodriguez looks great. I know he's slow, but he looks a very good player. I'm really excited about Soler. I really am. I think he looks like he's going to be a great player. Obviously, Somerville looks a real menace, an exciting player. But Duran, the striker position, West Ham and strikers, I tell you, I don't know what it is with our football club. It's just something we struggle with. We continually struggle with. And I just feel like every time I see Duran play, I'm like, that's what we need. That's the guy we need. Pace, power, finishing, wonderful touch. Great link-up play as well. I think he would have just fitted beautifully into our system. I really do. I feel like West Ham have made a real massive cock-up. And that's not by saying that we didn't not. I'm not saying West Ham made a cock up this summer. We made a cock up 2 years ago. We never should have brought Danny Ings to this football club, ever. It was a terrible, terrible decision. It's backfired horrendously. He is on massive wages. I mean, his wages have caused us a problem previously because players are going, hang on a minute, how much is he bloody earning? I'm on 30, 40 grand a week and he's on 110 or whatever it is. It's not good. Not good. And we can't ship him out. And it's not, and as I've said, if you're Danny Ings, why would he care? He'd be sitting there thinking, oh, yeah, he gave me the offer, I've signed the deal. I'm not going anywhere. I'm happy. Happy in London. Happy earning this money. Of course he bloody is. It's really frustrating. It really is. And I don't want to be negative, but I wanted to talk about this. I did say in the week I was going to do a video on the striker situation. And then it leaves us now, really, doesn't it, with what does Lopetegui do with the strikers now, with the front line? It's a tricky one. It's a tricky one. I don't know about you, but I'm warming more to the idea of playing Bowen up front. I'm more to the idea of adopting a kind of Liverpool setup. Do you remember Liverpool when they had the Salah, Firmino, Mane kind of situation? I'm not saying we've got the exact same players, but we're not far from that. Let's get it straight. When you sort of compare, if you think about it, those front three, we've got something similar, haven't we, in terms of Kudus, Bowen, Somerville, and then having, say, Paqueta playing behind. I think I'm starting to wonder if we haven't now got Duran, and it pains me that we haven't, that whether that's the answer, whether actually the answer is we've got it here, playing Jarrod Bowen up front, him playing through the middle because we've got to sort out this situation with Kudus. He doesn't work on the left. It does not work. It's quite obvious it doesn't work. Where you can have Somerville, which I really do, from everything I've seen of him now, I think he needs to be starting. I think he's already made enough a good impression to go, look, he needs to be playing. He's not an impact sub. He's a first team starter for me. And then having Kudus out on the right, which we know he can be effective from. It just doesn't work on the left, Kudus, at all. He's got to do something, Lopetegui. He's got to sort this out because he's trying to accommodate a striker, and one of the strikers is Antonio, who looks too inconsistent for me. Don't know what you're getting, and it's just too frustrating. We're not getting beast mode, are we? If you got guaranteed beast mode, Antonio, every week, he'd be the number one striker at the football club, but you don't get that. He's not at that age anymore anyway. He's not fit enough. He's not able to produce performance after performance. He can't do it. His game style and his age is not going to work long term. We can see that. You actually wonder whether this will be, he's coming towards the end. Well, he's coming towards the end. We know that. But Fulkrug, he's not a Duran, is he? We all said this when we signed Fulkrug, that, hang on a minute, he's nothing like the player that we're trying to get. We're trying to get Duran over the line, but then we went for Fulkrug. I think it's a cock-up. I really do. I think overall it's been a cock-up from West Ham. I think that, and I think it's obvious. I think the club will know that just by watching Duran play and thinking we've really made a mistake here. Should have got this sorted out. But we are where we are. It's not going to change anything. I actually don't see us now getting Duran. I don't ever see that happening unless West Ham go back in with massive money now to get him away from Aston Villa. But there's going to be no rush to sell him now, are they? Let's be honest. He's performing for them now. He's scoring goals and he's doing the signals to the fans that he's staying. So there's no urgency from their side, is there, to get rid. We've only got to hope that Emery wants him gone. In a way, he'll just try and get rid of him in January or whatever, and West Ham can try and capitalise. That's the only thing we've got. I mean, look, I'm not saying Duran's the only striker in the world and that's the only one we can go for. I appreciate that. But I just, watching him play, you can't help but think, what a shame. What a shame. And this Danny Ings deal was cocking us up, and it continues to. We can't ship him out. But anyway, look, Danny Ings got a hat-trick in that game, which is obviously good news. But as I say, I don't think it has any bearing on anything. I really don't. As I say, I don't look at that and think that he now needs to go and give him an opportunity in the first team. I just don't see it happening. But look, I'm expecting West Ham to get this Egan deal over the line. That's what I'm guessing what we're going to do. I'm not sold. I don't think it's a great move for West Ham, really. But as I said, if it does happen, great for him, and I'll get behind him, whatever. But as I say, I really don't want this to be negative, all right? Because I'm actually really hopeful for this season. I think things are looking really good, despite the loss to Manchester City. I thought we were great, and especially second half, I thought we played really well, played some lovely football. I thought we had the champions on the ropes quite a fair bit in that game. Actually, I thought it was a really spirited display by West Ham. It showed something that you go, wow, something could be happening here at West Ham this season. I really got that feeling, and I'm actually starting to feel like I've said in this video whether that's the answer then. Having Bowen and Fulkrug and Antonio just going to have to be the more impact subs, I think, in my opinion. I just don't think the system's working for them at the moment. But who knows? Could change. Things can change, can't they, quickly in football? We might see something quite different and a system that really starts to work. But that Danny Ings deal, I tell you, it continues to haunt this club.